So I'm thrilled that we're here, and I'm just thrilled that we're here. We're going to take comments and questions, and I'm going to be the moderator, and sometimes I cut people off. Nice and loud.
Okay, when Ground Zero, the construction was planned, there was a great to-do, and quotas or fixed percentages for women in the trades were set. The mayor was on board, knew. Then there was a period when nothing happened, when it was stuck because the Silverstein, the Port Authority couldn't get together. Now that it's rolling and the tradespeople have increased in great numbers, are they living up to that deal or are they not? And why hasn't the press, women's e-press, gotten into this issue and found out what's going on? Are there women electricians on this giant building effort at Ground Zero in the numbers that were promised? Question, I don't have the answer.
Do you know that? So Francois is from Legal Momento.
The only one that I know of that actually had a goal and that was enforced was the one that the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation owned, which is the Deutsche Bank. And they had, but it took work. They put 14. They wanted 14% women on their site to take down the Deutsche Bank. And I actually don't know what happened afterwards, but what I called up the leader of Local 78 because it was mostly hazmat workers. And I asked, and he told me, oh no, there's not that many women on there. So I called the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation. I said, I hear there's only about 6% women, and he says he's got 20% women. How come you don't have more? And they actually cared enough to go there, and they ended up with more than 14% women for a certain amount of time. But then I didn't keep calling, so I don't know what happened after that.
Well, Francine wanted to comment. So Francine?
Well, we sent a letter to President Obama even before the World Trade Center stimulus money hit the Economic Development Corporation, and there were a number of organizations that signed on to ensure that at least the way the Economic Development Corporation said, 7,000 women were supposed to be hired at Ground Zero as the litmus test, as the requirement for the federal stimulus to kick in. But that hasn't happened because 26,000 jobs were generated at Ground Zero. A lot of that money, is now kind of winding down. But
How many women out of the 26,000?
nobody knows. But
Well, why
if
is
you
this
visited
died? This
West-
is a big New York City issue, and nobody's on it. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of the politics, but other panelists may have.
A good faith effort has created this whole industry, mini industry, if you will, that is picked up and hired by, subcontracted by your big contractors like Tishman, Morse Diesel, any of the big general contractors. They hire these consultants who are supposedly making a good faith effort. They're supposedly they have a trailer outside the site. And I have to say that many of us tested it. Actually, the federal building that was being built on Broadway, there were quite a number of us who went every day or once a week or whatever to that trailer to say, we're interested in working. And I know that I did that many times before I finally was hired on, but I was not hired on through using that trailer. It was a call from my union that my name came up finally, and I was sent to that site. And actually, that's how we know that it's getting city, state, or federal money, or maybe a combination of these things. Is when we show up on the site, there's more than one woman. Because usually in private construction, Usually you're the only one.
If I had known, I wouldn't be here today.
If I had
Each of you have said that, but you might have different.
I disagree.
Okay, so you're
say
last,
that.
okay. So you may have different things.
And like Cynthia said, if we had any idea, we wouldn't be here today. Because it was just too much for young women to fight off. We had nobody in the business, we had no connections, we had no kind of clout. And all we had was, tough skin and a big heart.
Sometimes
And
ignorance is
brains.
bliss.
Yes.
I was gonna say, can I clarify?
Yes.
I mean, I was talking about the fact that it really took an emotional toll on me. It also took a physical toll on me that I didn't expect. However, because I was a local 3 electrician, I was able to afford to buy my condo. I was able to live a very good life. I would not have been able to do that because I have to say, at the time in 1978, when I was applying to get into Local 3, I remember Jill Feblowitz. I mean, she graduated, if I remember correctly, MIT. I know that Faith Calhoun went to like Tufts. So quite a number of the women that I knew went to really top-notch schools, and and Nora went to Yale, and you kind of have to wonder, well, why did some of the women who went to some really good schools, why did they decide to go into construction? And really, for many of us, at that point in time, there were 3 careers that were available to us. You could be a teacher, you could be a nurse, and for some reason I'm blanking on the third one, a secretary. And I was ill-suited for those things. I was not very, I was not like a sweet little thing to kind of go along with everything. So I was very ill-suited for any of those careers, as either a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary. Because for me it was like I deliberately did not learn how to type so that they couldn't say, "Oh, Cynthia, go type this up." It's like, I don't know how to type. And say, "Cynthia, go make the coffee." I don't know how to make coffee. I mean, it was like a skill that I deliberately avoided learning. But the thing that I was saying, the reason why I said I would not do it was because of the emotional toll.
If you had known.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it because the odds were totally against me. It was like visualizing the book. It's like you're trying to climb a pole and you have like union reps and people in higher positions in the local contractors. They're like they have like buckets of grease just coming down the pole, and and you're wearing out your boots, you're wearing out your hands, just your nails are down to the core. You're never gonna make it because the odds are so much against you. And then when you do make it, they'll be damned if they're going to give you any kind of recognition. You're not going to make it as far as going any further than a journeywoman. They might call you to come out and be a token to be an appearance somewhere that we have a journeywoman. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, who's that? Who's that? It's like for the graduation, and may he rest in peace. Harry Van Austin called me 11 o'clock at night. I wasn't going to go to my graduation. For what? You didn't want me here. Now you need. Oh, I know. You need to dangle me out there, show them. We got girls, see. So anyway, I followed my lawyer's advice, and she said, "You better go, or you live to regret it." And I did. But just reading the book, it changes who you are. It changes the person you are. You're so busy fighting that you can't. There's like the very little room for being kind and loving, which I think comes natural for women. To be caring. I was on jobs where guys got cut and they would run to me like I was their mother, Oh, Melinda, the blood is gushing, and I'm like, oh my God, And I took care of them. I wasn't an electrician at the moment. I was a woman. And that's what that came natural. And I always felt that my talents and my intelligence could have been so much more, somewhere else, like maybe in the medical field, where, you could really give it 100% and you really have people really grateful for doing a good job. Whereas here, men and women, especially men, have died on construction sites. They don't even put a plaque on the wall for them. But I just said the odds are so much against us that I didn't have a clue of what I was getting into. I just thought I was going to be an electrician, and that was it. And it just took too much out of my heart that I wouldn't do it again, knowing that. Which I'm afraid, like, if so many women read this, they might not join the program.
It's always the danger when you speak the truth.
True that.
You speak your heart. You disagree.
Yeah, I don't have any regrets about the 18 years I worked in the trades. I mean, there was a lot of emotional pain, but life is emotionally painful. Maybe I would have gone through emotional pain if I'd worked. I was working as an office temp when I came in. That stunk.
With a degree
But,
in Yale?
yes, I was a philosophy major.
Oh,
I wanted a real job. I wanted a job where you could really point to what you'd done, not a bullshit job. And I loved a lot of the work I did. I didn't love the harassment. It was awful, but when I was on a job where I was allowed to work, I loved the work, and I'm glad. I was excited to be doing work. I'd say, I can't believe I'm up here in a ceiling, this is amazing, and I'm getting paid a lot of money, a hell of a lot more money than women get paid in professional jobs. And I was really happy to do the work when I was allowed to just do my work without the harassment. And it's great work for women, and I think a lot of the women were a lot more excited about the work than a lot of the men were, because it was a privilege to do this work, and I'm very happy I got to do that work. And struggling for equal rights for women was a great sideline, but yes, there was a lot of extreme emotional pain along with it, but I don't regret it.